Do you guys struggle with domination in NBA 2K18? Can you beat a team easily, but for some reason you just can't rack up enough MT? Or are you just unable to outscore the AI because they make every single basket? All-time Lakers. If you struggle from any of these problems, you've clicked on the right video, because today I'm going to be showing you the best strategies to beat every mode of domination. Regular, historic, and all-time, as well as the players you should be using to be the most effective against these teams. So, let's get right into the video.
Pull up, two-door swerve, ay, pull up, ay, pull up, two-door swerving. Back in the day, I was wordless. Started from the service in the middle of the desert with a weather hot enough to break a motherfucking thermos, nigga. Ay, look at the flick of my wrist. Won't forget.
So starting off the video here, guys, I guarantee you this is the best way you're gonna beat domination, the quickest way as well if you use these techniques. Now, did I come up with these? No, I've seen a couple of these around YouTube, so I'm not claiming to invent these. I'll leave the links to the channels below where I saw this. I think it was Carlos Story and Kilmazoy, and I'm just kind of gonna reiterate these methods and add a little spin of my own to it, as well as the players you should be using. And one last thing here, guys, I'm gonna add the times on screen as well as in the comments below, so you guys can click and go to certain parts of the tutorial, because I know that some of you guys are more advanced than others. For example, I know my friends might be watching this and they know 2K, they've played for a while. So it's going to be divided into 3 parts: the basics you need to know for domination, the players you'll need, and then lastly the strategy. So you can click around to the certain part you want to watch, because you most likely may know the basics if you're already playing domination. So let's get into it. So starting off with the basics, the first thing you're going to want to do is get your minimums done, which means shoot minimum 10 free throws per game and shoot minimum 5 3-pointers per game. So even before doing this though, which a lot of people know what to do, you're going to want to go into your settings at the main menu. Now, depending on when you're watching this tutorial, it might be patched, it might be not patched. So for me, and as of right now, it's not patched yet. So you're going to want to lower the difficulty all the way down to 0, and you will not miss a free throw with any player below or above a 50% free throw. So Shaq will make 100% of his free throws if you have the dynamic duo with him. Dwight Howard will make 100% of them guaranteed, and then Andre Drummond, I'm not sure what his free throw is, but if it's like a 30, by lowering the difficulty down to 0 from 50, it'll go up to 80. So just keep that in mind. So yes, it's very important to get your minimums done. I recommend shooting 5 3-pointers a game to have a higher percentage. So shoot 5, hopefully you make all 5. Ideally, that's 100 extra MT per game. And then if you follow my free throw guide here by lowering the difficulty, most of the time you're going to make 10 for 10 a game. And if you struggle for some reason to get to the free throw line, keep the game within 6-7 points. And at the end of the 4th quarter, the other team will automatically foul you, and then you'll go to the free throw line and you can get those extra 4 to 6 or however many free throws you need. Alright, so now that we have the basics out of the way, we can move on to getting certain players for the upcoming strategies I'm about to show you. So, the first thing you might need, or you will need, for the strategies to work are 2 strong centers that can really body people around. So, Shaquille O'Neal with the pre-order bonus, that's going to be the most common choice to use, and that's probably the best you can use. He has 99 strength. But if for some reason you don't have him or you still need another one, I'm going to list off some players here you could use. So Andre Drummond comes to mind. He's really strong. Mark Gasol, Emerald. DeMarcus Cousins, Sapphire, who I highly recommend. He was my backup center when Shaq was on the court. And then probably the best one for anyone, and he's a budget baller, around like 800 MT, is Gold Dwight Howard. He has amazing dunk animations like Shaq, and he's strong, so definitely recommend Dwight Howard if you're on a budget. Next up, after you find some centers, it's pretty easy. All you have to do, go on the auction house, find some good 3-point shooters like JJ Redick, James Harden, you know the 3-point shooters, and you're just going to surround these centers with good 3-point shooters. Maybe instead of having all 4 shooters, you could sacrifice one of them for a rebounder. So I had Anthony Davis, who he could still shoot the 3, but he was primarily there for rebounding. And just for reference, guys, I'll show you the team I used for a majority of the time, if you're curious. Shaquille O'Neal and Dwayne Wade, that duo was OP. Had to use them. Anthony Davis, and then Ron Artest and Penny Hardaway. Those two, they obviously were added once I earned the rewards from being Domination and Historic, but originally it was Westbrook and Paul George. And don't think you have to have a team this good to be successful, because really you just need a really strong center and people that can shoot the 3-ball surrounding them. Alright, so now that we have the basics out of the way and all the player requirements, we can move on to the strategies. So the first thing I'm going to do is divide this into offense and defense, because you need to do certain things on both sides, and it depends on the type of domination you're playing. So we're going to start with offense first, and it's the same thing regardless of the type of domination you're playing. It doesn't matter if it's domination, historic, or all time. Do the same thing every time. So you're going to come down the court, and you're going to have your center at point guard, and then you're going to tell the offense to be 5 out and space the floor, and that's it. And then you're going to pass the ball to your really strong center. Doesn't matter if it's Shaq, Mark Gasol, or Dwight Howard. Doesn't matter. And what you're going to do is post up and post spin, and that's all you're going to do every single time. Now, the AI will catch on after about 12 to 14 consecutive points, and all you have to do is look for the open man, and this is why we have 3-point shooters surrounding your strong center. Kick it to the 3-point shooter or whoever's cutting, and boom, easy bucket. Now, if for some reason the center gets switched on, or a power forward gets switched on to your big guy and not the point guard, which is what we want, then you're going to call timeout and switch your center from the point guard spot to the shooting guard spot. And what I found from my experience is this calls off the double team, and if it doesn't call off the double team, it at least gets the center off of you, and you have a small guy, so before the double team can come, you can usually post spin and dunk, and it's the same thing every single time. And the only other thing you have to do on offense is push the pace. So try to score in under 12 seconds, I would say. That's what I always try to do. If you go over it, it's okay, but try to post spin or post up and post spin in under 12 seconds. Usually you'll get a dunk. If you miss, try to get your own rebound. That won't always be the case, but if you do, you get a nice MT bonus. So push the pace, and then when you're on defense and then you get the rebound or a turnover, push the pace up the court and try to score on the fast break, because that results in extra MT as well. The last little thing I'd like to mention is try to score 100 MT per quarter or more. That was always the thought process going through my head, and it never failed me. If you score 100 MT or more per quarter, that'll give you 400 minimum by the end of the game, and then you add that on to the extra 200 from the free throws and three-pointer plus the other stuff you get, and you should be pretty well off. Alright, so we're done with the offensive side of the ball. Time to switch over to defense. So what you're going to want to do is determine what team you're playing first. Is it a very good team? If it's a domination team or a really bad historic team, I highly recommend the strategy of you just try to block their shots. You spam the triangle button as soon as they come up the court. The point guard brings it up, spam the block button. They're either going to drive in and pull up and miss because they're not very good, or they're going to cause a turnover. And if that doesn't happen, sometimes you'll get lucky and your post will contest the shot. And then sometimes they'll even make the shot, and you know, that's okay, because really we're just not really going to care about defense on these lower skilled teams, because we want to be on offense most of the time and doing post spin cheese and outscoring them to make our MT. We don't really care about defense. So I highly recommend this first wave defense for regular domination teams all the way up. For me, I did this up until the last historic domination team. I wouldn't recommend going that far. I got lucky, but you know, those first historic domination teams aren't very good. So on the worst teams that you're not very scared of, they don't have like a really good diamond point guard or shooting guard, do this technique. I guarantee you won't run into MT struggles for meeting those requirements. Now for all-time teams though, I got bad news. You're just gonna have to play regular straight up defense. There's no abusing the system for this. These all-time teams are really good, and they're gonna make shots that should never go in, fading threes, you name it. They're gonna get and ones for days, but guess what? That's probably the worst part of this, the all-time domination. You just gotta play straight up defense. I would recommend sometimes if they don't have really good shooters, you could just off ball with your center in the paint, and then when they drive in, you go and contest. But other than that, you can just try to watch their plays and see what the AI is doing. You can't really spam the steal this year, so you just gotta play straight up lockdown defense. Alright, so those are the tips I have for offense and defense. I'm just gonna reiterate some points I made. Make sure to get minimums done, get a strong center surrounded by shooters and maybe a good rebounder, and then 5 out, space the floor, and post spin all day. Don't have any mercy for the AI because the AI doesn't have any mercy for you. So don't feel bad for cheesing. This is the AI computer. It doesn't matter. You're not online. And the last thing I'd like to leave you guys with is push the pace. And here's another thing. Don't feel bad if you have to quit a game, because this is mostly for all-time domination, but if you start the game off in the first quarter and you're down by 10, and this happened to me a lot, if you're down by 10 or more because the AI is just spanking you, don't feel bad. Take the L, quit, and restart, because sometimes it all depends on how you start off in the game and the momentum. That can really help if you just quit and restart. It'll save you frustration and a lot of time. Alright, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I tried to go into some depth in this guide, but if you're still struggling, leave your struggles in the comments below. I will reply as soon as possible. I want you guys to beat Domination because the rewards are worth it. It's frustrating, but it's worth it, I promise you. So, let me know in the comments below if you need help. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.